This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Good morning, and guess what? We're looking at a hole in the ground. Why are we looking at a hole in the ground? Well, it is a hole in the ground that belongs to a very special hyena. We're here, of course, naturally, because I have 3 days left in the Mara with Waffles at her den site. And it is a beautiful, beautiful clear morning for once here in the Masai Mara of Kenya. Good morning to all of you. My name is Jamie, and this morning Manu is on camera with me, and he got up at 4:30 with me to leave at 5 o'clock in the morning so that we could be here with our beloved Waffles. We're about to take you on a live safari from 2 different African countries, here in the Masai Mara of Kenya and Djuma in the Sabi Sand of South Africa. Because this is a live safari, remember you can send through your questions on hashtag SafariLive on Twitter, or you can put them in the comments section on YouTube. Kirsty told me at the beginning of this morning what the temperature was. I can't remember what it was. 55 degrees Fahrenheit-ish. It's cold enough for us who love the warmth, and it's probably a little bit cold for the cubs to come out just yet. 13 degrees centigrade, 55 degrees Fahrenheit, with the standard Mara breeze included. We did see them at about 6 o'clock this morning, so about half an hour ago. Both cubs were out and about and climbing all over Mum, as if she were their own slightly furry jungle gym. But then there was lots of whooping, and it's going to sound weird, but I said to Manu, I think it's actually Tip who was whooping off in the distance. Tip is one of our young hyenas of North Clan, but I have no idea if that's actually the case. I just feel like I recognize her little voice. Wouldn't it be cool if we could recognize the call of each and every single individual hyena? The nice thing about this is that Waffles has moved herself and her cubs to the best den. Sarah says that she thinks that Waffles needs her morning coffee to get up. I couldn't agree with you more. She's probably had a long evening. She certainly smells like she's had an interesting night. She absolutely stinks. Standard hyena, really. I mean, I love them and all, but they are smelly creatures. So she's obviously had a long night. She's probably full, judging by the smell that's currently emanating off her. It is not a subtle smell, the smell of a hyena. I think she quite possibly also went and rolled in some lion scat, because that's exactly what it smells like. So she's not too worried about spreading the smell to the den. Those tunnels are nice and deep. This particular den is where it all started for all of us. We have really good memories of North Clan cubs running up and down, back in the day when there were 10 of them, all gambling about. It's known as Crook's Den, named after a gentleman called Hans Crook, who wrote the seminal work on spotted hyenas in the 1970s, a book that I have not read but I would love to. He was one of the first people who started properly dispelling all the myths about hyenas and really highlighted them as a complex matriarchal society. She, of course, for those of you that don't know, is the matriarch, which means that of the over 70 hyenas in this clan, she's the boss. She is the absolute pinnacle of the hierarchy. Interestingly enough, the matriarch of the Talek West clan, which is over the river, died recently and has thrown them into complete disarray. Paula, I promise I will still give you updates of the North Clan when I'm in Djuma. I'm pretty certain that I have extracted that promise from Manu. He will have to share all of the information. But of course, even if I'm not here, that doesn't mean that the other guides won't be paying a visit and watching Waffles' cubs grow up. The fact that that causes me deep emotional pain is really neither here nor there, I suppose. It is a deeply distressing thought. Waffles? I mean, we've had tea with her. She's looked at us, we've looked at her. She's gone back to sleep. Oh, Nikki, I'm so excited. Nikki wants to know when we'll be able to tell what sex the wafflets are. We're trying. We are desperately trying. We should be able to tell from now. And in fact, one of them was wandering around with all bared, which would have been a good opportunity, but unfortunately the grass kept getting in the way because their little bottoms are so close to the ground that we weren't able to get a good look. So what we're going to do is we're going to try and get a good close-up of the either penis or pseudo-penis. I'm sorry to start off the sunrise safari in this manner, but it's the realities of working with spotted hyenas. We'll send the close-ups that we get to the researchers rather than, I'll have a good go at guessing, but rather than doing that myself, I'll send it across to them and we'll try and figure it out. Waffles, morning. It's time to wake up. We want little backlit cubs, if you don't mind. The sun's coming up. Just saying. Oh, Kirst is on form this morning. While we wait for Waffles' cubs to come out, I'll send you across to Mr. Red Leo Shuka to say good morning.
Good morning and welcome to the Mara. What a fantastic way to start the drive at Waffles' Den. My name is Brent Leo Smith. I have Archie on camera. And it's quite chilly this morning, so yes, I have my shuka on. My lucky shuka, so hopefully we're going to see some fantastic things this morning. We are going to head to the southwest again, looking for those 2 male lions we had last night, and maybe those 3 Olololo females who are hanging about down there. Apparently, the rest of the pride has moved back up to the north, somewhere around the Kitchwa-Tembo airstrip. And those 3 females have decided not to. Now, whether it's the migration or the thrill of new men in the area, who knows? Hopefully we're going to find out soon. Now, with a really big pride like the Ololo pride, and in an area where there is a shortage of food, this is sort of the ideal time for a pride to split. So we might be looking at a split of the Olololos. Now, I'm not saying this for 100%. They might very well come back, but there is always a possibility. The fact that at the moment there's a lack of other prides in the area, the Owinos and sausages have disappeared, and there's a plethora of food around, plus the potential of those new males defending them from other males. It could be that those 3 females are deciding to make a new pride down to the south of their traditional territory. So it's going to be quite interesting to watch as this story develops. Now remember, #SafariLive if you have any questions for us on Twitter, or just pop your questions in the YouTube feed. Apparently the shuka is getting lots of compliments. I do like a good shuka. This one is one of my favorites. Very useful. They can keep you warm. They keep the dust out of your cameras. You can make a good picnic blanket. You can make a good blanket. Very versatile things, the shuka. So as you can see, I'm moving quite quickly to get down to the southwest. Okay, well, I keep moving away from the rising sun. Seems like Jamie's got a lovely view of it.
While Brent moves away from the rising sun, we're going to sit and watch it. Because I'm not going anywhere. Well, I will go somewhere, but not yet. I'll explain where I'm going in a little bit. I'm going to allow you a moment of peace to watch the sunrise. Happens quickly here on the equator. That's very pretty, Manu. That was a well-placed tree. Well done. I think This is the first clear morning we've had in ages. Come on, son. The faster you rise, the faster Waffles' cubs are going to come out and enjoy the morning sun. Ooh, I've been staring at it now. I've got purple spots in front of my eyes. But I will forever the person who was watching our live safaris for the first time, who decided that they'd caught us out because we'd gone from dark into light. Happened a long, long time ago, but it's still one of the most hilarious comments I've ever had fed through to me. This isn't live. It was dark, now it's light. Yes, that is indeed what happens when it's morning. I haven't forgotten, by the way, about my Topi birth mission. The reason that we didn't go there straight away was simply because it was pitch dark when we left camp, and pitch dark when we arrived here at Waffles' den site. So I couldn't really have found a birthing Topi in the dark. Not ethically, anyway. I would have had to be shining spotlights all over the show. So I haven't forgotten about that particular mission. Oh dear, apparently many of you are concerned that we're going to miss the birth. I'm afraid to have to tell you that this is a calculation that we have to make every single day. We could go in one direction and miss something, we could go in the other direction and miss something. I chose to go with the known variable for at least the beginning of this safari, and then on to the unknown variables of the Topi birthing system. I don't quite know how to predict exactly when the Topis are going to drop their calves. The other issue is, of course, that it's incredibly muddy still where the Topi are. As you will well remember, yesterday did not go terribly well for me. Kirsty says I should know when the Topis are going to give birth. I do apologize. There's a hole in my knowledge. There's a hole in the ground, and I'm really watching very closely, roughly the size of the hole in my knowledge. That is the metaphorical equivalent of my lack of knowledge of when Topis are going to drop their babies. I'm being a bit sarcastic. I know, of course, that they're likely to give birth first thing in the morning, which is a tricky one. Ask Brent to go. Tweet history? Sweet history. I was going to say, tweet history could be a dangerous thing, depending on your tweeting habits of 10 years ago. Sweet history. Hyenas never get too old to give birth. I imagine that their success rate might decrease with age, particularly when they get really old. But the only animals that... Oh, hello, Waffles. I'm not calling you old, I promise. You are a bit old, though. Maybe I am calling you old. The only animals that actually experience menopause are human beings and certain species of whale or dolphin. So they are able to continue to give birth right up until the moment that they die. The same applies for lions, leopards, cheetah. It obviously, as they get older, their reactions might be slightly slower, but at the same time, they counter that with the experience that they have. And Waffles certainly is an experienced mother. This is not her first rodeo, so to speak. But of course, each and every set of cubs that she has now are absolutely vitally important to her lineage. She only has one granddaughter, as I keep emphasizing, but it's really important because if Soup were to die now, Waffles' great-granddaughters would die too. They're not old enough to look after themselves, and that would mean there are no females left to continue her lineage. Her males, her sons, would disperse, and that would be the end of Waffles' family. So it really is quite critical. Well, I feel it's quite critical with our emotional investment in her, that those cubs, or at least one of these little cubs, girl, I don't know how to tell you this, but I might have to leave you for the topi. Wide-eyed Waffles is always sleeping in an odd position, to be honest. I think she quite enjoys it. Cats and hyenas have a way of looking comfortable no matter where they are. Yesterday we saw a lioness looking exceedingly comfortable lying on a pile of rocks. So I think that that's just one of her preferred positions. She disappears down into the den site themselves occasionally, right down hidden so that we can't even see her. We're actually exceedingly fortunate this morning that she's out in the open. Oh, Waffles, you smell. Ugh. Just got a whiff of her. What have you been up to last night? So she's a very good mum. She's been with these cubs. It's not often that we come to the den and find the cubs without her in the vicinity, keeping an eye on what's going on. Look, I don't know what she got up to last night. We obviously didn't follow her. I suspect she went and found some food and then came straight back. So she stays with them pretty much constantly. I'm hoping as the sun comes out, she's going to move into the sun to sunbathe. And that the cubs come out to join her. Right, while we sit and wait patiently, and it is a game of patience, and I want a nice backlit photograph, let's go across to Big Red and see where he's off to.
Well, welcome back. We're still maneuvering south as quick as we can, while still searching for any sign of life. At the moment we've seen quite a lot of elephant dung, but no elephants. So while we are missioning south, I think it's time for a quiz. And we've had some interesting quizzes over the last while. Sorry. I thought I saw something looked like a lion. It was not. So let's think. Mammal, bird, reptile. I think we should do a mammal quiz. And what is the biggest forest-dwelling antelope in Africa? What is the biggest forest-dwelling antelope in Africa? And by that I mean its habitat is almost exclusively the Congo Basin or highland forests through Africa. What is the biggest forest-dwelling antelope in Africa? Hashtag SafariLive if you know the answer. That should keep you guys going for a while. James Hendry says the elephant. Of course, James is a joker. Sometimes not a very good one, but a joker nonetheless. Now, the light is absolutely gorgeous at the moment, but I'm still looking for something to put in it. Maybe we'll get lucky with a black kukkel. There are some around Laga and Ndlovu, or grey-backed fiscal shrikes, or a superb starling, or a Hildebrand starling. But at the moment, there's a little breeze, nothing too serious. What I'm looking for when it comes to birds at this time of the morning. Oh, wow. I'm going to have to make the questions a little bit more difficult because Lara Moore and Paula say the bongo, and you are correct. Okay. What is the smallest forest-dwelling antelope in Africa? What is the smallest forest-dwelling antelope in Africa? Hashtag SafariLive. That one should get you going for a bit longer. No cheating in using Google now. Okay, so, I don't know, I thought it was a lion. James Henry says the bushveld gerbil. There's a fallen branch underneath that Balanaites tree that looked like a lion as we were going past. It is not lion, so we'll keep going. James Henry's other answer is the cockroach. James, you are being a cockroach at present. Or a bushveld gerbil in the food store. Now, speaking of bushveld gerbils, up in our camp we get quite a lot of rodents, but not bushveld gerbils. I managed to get a few good pictures of some of the rodents that live around our camp, and I've sent them off to a friend of mine who knows someone who's apparently an expert on the rodents of the Mara. So hopefully I will be able to identify the rodents as we get. I've seen about 4 different species just in and around our camp, up on the high ground there, and some of them are quite cool. Now Carl and Ebony say a dik-dik. Can you believe, well, firstly, a dik-dik's not a forest species. It's a savanna species and an arid grassland species. And also, it's not as small as the antelope I'm thinking about. So not a dik-dik, Carl and Ebony. That would be the smallest antelope in the Masai Mara. Ooh, Abraham says the pygmy duiker. Now, Abraham, I think you might be getting a bit confused, because I don't think there's such a thing as a pygmy duiker. But you're on the right track. This one should keep you going for a while. It's got a very, very small distribution range. And it is one of the antelopes I have never seen. John says blue duiker, and if my memory serves me correctly, John, the blue duiker is the second smallest, so close. Now we'll... there we go. Well done, Fuzzman Sparkles. It is indeed the royal antelope, which is confined to the forests of Liberia and the surrounding countries, highly threatened, tiny distribution, and very, very threatened by bushmeat. Now, since we're on the smaller of the antelopes, who can tell me what is the largest duiker species? Hashtag SafariLive. It is one of my favorites, and it is an antelope I have seen. Quite a few, actually, over my time. The most I ever saw was in Gabon, and the most southern one I ever saw was in northern Zambia. Now, while you try to ponder what animal has such a wide distribution, let's send you to James Henry with something that is definitely taller than a royal antelope.
Yes, I am taller than a royal antelope. Even I am taller than a royal antelope, as is that giraffe. Good morning and welcome to this end of the Sunrise Safari. The sun has yet to rise here in southern Africa. It has up there in East Africa. My name is James Henry, and on camera today we have got Senzo Mkhize of KwaZulu-Natal, Edendale. That is where he lives. He would show you his fingers, but unfortunately he's now operating the camera with all 10 of them as we speak. Let's have a look at our giraffe there, which is just making a very slow retreat towards the west, and unusually a cow on her own, but not so unusually she is in visual contact with another one. I can see there just its head. It's still quite dark. Can you see that one, Senzo? You see its friend going past the termite mound at the far end of this clearing. There it is. Please talk to us using the hashtag SafariLive, of course, and the YouTube chat stream. And I shall answer Brent's question for you. The most widely distributed... What was the question? Most widely distributed mammal in Africa. Is that right? Most widely distributed antelope in Africa. That is, of course, the cicada beetle. That's a joke, everybody. Don't tell him it was a cicada beetle. He'll tell you that you don't know what you're talking about. Mainly because, of course, a cicada isn't a beetle at all. It's a bug. Just another perfect, glorious spring morning here in the Lowveld. I think it's going to be another blindingly hot day, but for the next hour or so it's going to be gorgeous. Our objective this morning, Tlalamba, the cub leopard. We're going to go down towards Treehouse Waterhole and see if what we can find down there. Kirsten tells me today is going to be some 37 degrees Celsius, which is about 7 million Fahrenheit, I think. Oh, it's only 98 Fahrenheit. Yes, we know that, of course, because we know that the human body has a temperature of roughly 98 degrees Fahrenheit and 37 degrees Celsius. Good. On we go. As I said, the sun is yet to rise. And this is a very perfect time to be out on foot. Now actually, unfortunately, Senzo's socks are not very impressive on the colour front this morning. They are very impressive on the length front, however. They go up to his thighs. So he's got some fairly long blue shorts on that go down to his knees. Let me just pull them up for you quickly. And there we can see Senzo's magnificent pair of socks. Yeah. Covering a spectacular set of pins on which he is going to walk some distance today. You're going to fall over that log if you're not careful. Well done, you didn't. Now there is some rain predicted this weekend, which is quite nice. And so while I ponder on the sky and whether or not we're going to have falling water, let's go back across to Kenya where Jamie Patterson is sitting with Waffles, and maybe, just maybe, we'll be able to tell if they're boys or girls.
Waffles and spots. I thought since we're doing a really stunning sock display, unfortunately I'm no master of sock puppetry, but I thought I'd show you my leopard print socks regardless, which were wonderfully cheap, bought in a very large pack, and even have my initials written on it by the lovely laundry ladies so that my socks don't disappear. The reason, of course, for buying incredibly exciting socks is not just because they're hilarious to look at, but also so that they don't get mixed up with everyone else's socks in the wash. So there you go. It's pretty much what I've been doing all morning, sitting with my feet up, because Waffles hasn't moved and her cubs haven't come out. Yes, of course, those of you who screenshotted my sock will be able to identify it in the future, not to be confused with a sock that has a slightly different spot pattern. Not sure if that was a 3-3 or a 3-2. Waffles, you have exactly 2 minutes to be up and about. If you're not, then I'm going to go and look at Topi for half an hour and then come back for when the rays of the sun have properly lit up this den site, and of course your cubs will be out in a... You're a tease, girl. When we're here, you sleep. When we leave, you'd miss the attention. No, she doesn't. She really doesn't care. She looks quite pretty this morning. Her nose is all shiny and clean. You don't even notice the fact that she's balding slightly around the nose and the head. Thank you kindly all for the compliments on my socks. If you're interested and you're South African, Pick and Pay Clothing is the place to go. Oh, I'm going to get into trouble. Product placement. I have a wonderful variety of brightly coloured or patterned socks. I should get a sponsorship deal. Scrap those fancy bush clothes. As cheaply as possible on the basis that it's going to get wrecked while I'm out here and covered in mud. Oh, we've got some visitors. Waffles has noticed them as well. Hold on a sec, I'll show you what I mean. Hear the engine, they get a fright. You know what would be ideal, of course, is if a topi came past and gave birth here, so I don't have to choose where to split my attention. Unfortunately, it's not a birthing topi. It is a herd of buffalo, perhaps grateful that they have survived the darkness of the night with so many lions wandering about. I just saw a little baby dashing about and playing. They love the mornings, and they are incredibly playful, baby buffalo, even if you wouldn't think it. For an animal that has a that has been regularly described as cantankerous, little baby buffalo enjoy a jolly good hop, skip and jump as much as the next antelope. Of course, they're not going to do it now that I've said that. So a herd of buffalo, not a threat to Waffles and her den site. She's not going to be concerned at all about the fact that they are wandering through. They're not likely to come and tackle her. A big buffalo bull, on the other hand, might be a different story. Morning, Flows. It was such a sweet question we got asked yesterday on school drive. Why are the buffalo's horns all different? Innocent question. That's a ridiculous piece of grass you got going there, buddy. I remember when I first started at SafariLive being asked whether or not buffalo's jaws all move in the same direction when they chew. I mean, do they... Because you can see the way that they chew. It's a sort of a rotational thing, grinding down the grass on their molars. A rotation down. And the answer, if I remember correctly, not that I've observed it since, is that it is different depending on how that particular buffalo is feeling on that particular day. Something I had never thought of asking about or observing, which is why I love these live safaris.
Right, sorry about that, everybody. The Mara has crashed yet again. Something needs to give there. We're on our way towards Treehouse Dam, as I said. And, well, you can see things are still very dry, but we shall continue our search for signs of spring and hopefully find some nice, interesting things to do with spring very shortly, because this current piece of ground is a bit barren. Good heavens, ex-Ranger, it's lovely to hear from you. I haven't heard from you for a long time. You say, have I named my pet rock from yesterday yet? Yes, I have. My pet rock's name is Richard. I've named him Richard in honour of our Beard, who has been visiting us for the last 10 days or so, and is unfortunately leaving us today. And so I've named my pet rock Richard in honour of our Beard, and I hope that I'm not sure how our Beard is going to feel about being honoured in such a manner. So apparently he's not in FC at the moment to acknowledge it, so we'll have to tell him a bit later that we have named a rock after him. So Richard the Rock, appropriate. You know I like to use that most basic of English, what do we call it, techniques, alliteration. Very basic, of course. Now, we've come up to just the western side of quarantine clearings, which are the clearings just outside of camp. There were some running impala around here. That could just be their kind of morning exercise, or it could be that they were running from those wild dogs yesterday evening, although the dogs did go up towards the north, so I'm not sure about that. Still very dry, and really not a great deal in terms of spring to show you in this particular part of the reserve. We can, however, retrieve this snail's shell. Of course, we have shown you many snail shells before. This is the snail shell of the giant land snail. And for me, the most interesting part of this shell's existence is that it was probably about 10 years old when it died. Can you imagine something this slow and this fragile being able to survive 10 years out here? I think it's quite astonishing. And if you go on a sort of standard issue bushwalk at a lodge or something like that, what they will do is show you that you can drink out of it, as if that's what people used to do out here. I'm not sure if it's true or not. However, the lions are now drinking from the bounty of the migration in the Masai Mara with Brent Leo Smith.
Well, it's the three girls we had yesterday afternoon, and it looks like they've had a busy morning. And we can see there's the lioness at the back dragging a young wildebeest carcass. Now there are some happy zebra hyenas around. Look at that, that strength. Even with those fat bellies, I doubt that's the first wildebeest they've eaten over the night. Look at that, isn't that beautiful? Backlit early morning light. A lioness showing her power. How cool is this? So the males we actually left somewhere just over here. So I don't know whether they're trying to run away from the males or from the hyenas, but they are definitely moving away from something. While one's trying to pull, the other's trying to play. Look at those bellies compared to yesterday. Fat and happy. Albeit a little bit nervous. I wonder how far she's actually going to drag this before the hyenas or the male lions or whatever is keep making her nervous, and she feels it's safe enough to stop. Not yet. It must be quite frustrating when you try to drag. When you're trying to drag a carcass and someone else keeps pulling on it. Okay, well, let's get a bit closer. And Dory says that baby won't last too long. Well, Dory, I think it's probably their fourth of the evening. They're looking quite fat. But they don't seem to want to waste it. Now, as I say, I'm not sure whether it's hyenas or those males that were in this area yesterday that is causing them to be so nervous. Look at that. Still dragging. Chris Rogue says red diker for the quiz. It is not a red diker, Chris. It is not. Red diker are one of the smaller species, but definitely not the smallest. But we, of course, are looking for the biggest. Kevin, it is not a klipspringer. Klipspringer are also quite small. I'm just keeping an eye out for those big males to pop their heads up. Shanda says a common diker. Now, they are quite big for a diker species, but nowhere near the biggest. Ah, well done, Angel. A yellow-backed duiker is indeed the largest duiker species in Africa. Now, we've had a few afternoons without too much rain, so I'm feeling a little bit more confident driving in this area, but still we've got to be quite careful. There are some big swampy sections. Try to get ahead of them quickly. And there are also some very big aardvark holes here. Carol, that's a very good question. How many times their own weight can a lion lift? Well, Carol, of course, with the females, I'm trying to think now. I've seen a lioness drag. They probably can't lift much more than about 20 or 30 kilos more their own weight. So these lionesses are probably about 110, 115. They can probably easily lift 150. Oh, there we go. There's a new meaning to the saying, playing with your food. Got it by the leg, got it by the leg. Hilarious. Well, that behavior seems to think whatever they were a bit nervous of, they're a little bit more calm from now. Yes, there we go. Flop down. Let me lie on top of the wildebeest, and then I'm going to lie on top of you. Very happy kitties, aren't they? Now there is a tiny sort of little thicket of shade. I thought they might be heading for that, but it seems like playtime and breakfast time have come before. Whatever they were feeling a bit nervous about, they've decided that they've dragged this carcass far enough away. So I did see some hyenas about in the distance, and I wonder if it's the happy zebras that they were moving away from. It's all calming down a bit now. Jason is asking, is this one of those kills that they might end up abandoning? There's a good chance. They have got quite fat bellies already, and if the vultures and hyenas become too much of a pain, then they would quite easily abandon it. The big herds of the migration are still quite close by. And from what I could see, there were a couple, at least 3 or 4 carcasses around this area from last night. Isn't this beautiful there? And you can see there's almost no aggression while feeding, because it is just such a time of plenty that they don't really have to worry too much about catching something else. And we've noticed that with that sort of very haphazard hunting strategy they've been using over the last few days. Ooh, well, we're going to sit here a little bit longer with our lovely lions, but it sounds like James has got some leopard tracks to follow.
We do have some leopard tracks to follow, and despite the fact what somebody has said on the chat that Tingana is dead, I don't know who would say such a thing. They are wrong. We are following his tracks down towards Treehouse Dam at the moment. That is a beautiful sunrise. You can see that the sun's just come up. And of course, my voice has been sufficiently dropped because we think that these tracks are very fresh, and we also know that Tingana is not a fan of seeing the human being on foot. And so we are going to proceed with caution, not so much because we think that he is going to distastefully or take his distaste to the point that he will charge us or anything like that, but because he will melt into the bush if he sees or hears us coming. Gorgeous morning. You just heard a Franklin shouting there, and Senzel, there's a little chin spot batis in this tree over here. You see it there? Looking for little insects. And the leader of a bird party, a southern black tit. That's what that one is. That's very special. Every morning the dawn chorus just gets slightly louder as we head towards summer and the birds' breeding season. And at the moment, the sort of herald of the sun is the crested barbet. Alrighty, let's continue. Let Herbert get a little bit in front of us, because one person on foot is going to be much easier for Tingana to deal with than two or three. Maverick, the last time we saw Hukamuri was a good deal of time ago, I think months actually. We didn't see him for the whole TV series. That ended 2 weeks ago tomorrow. Or 3 weeks ago tomorrow, 2 weeks ago tomorrow. And yeah, we haven't seen him. I don't think we saw him for 2 or 3 weeks before that, so months. He's spending his time in the far west because, for two reasons. One, that area has been vacated by the enormous Anderson male. He's gone down to the south towards Singita and Londolozi, and then the other reason is that he's been mating with Shidulu and Tiani. So 2 females in his territory have been in estrus, and that will be keeping him very busy, very hungry, very tired. I don't know how many of you have had the privilege of watching a leopard mating sequence, but for the male, it is an exhausting affair. Now, look, no one saw Tlalamba yesterday, and the night before, of course, Thandi was looking for her, and many of you justifiably concerned. Herbie's just saying we must go this way because he's going to check there. Justifiably concerned that Tlalamba is okay. She is fine, I'm 99% sure, because there were tracks all over the road where we had left Thandi, and so yesterday, or certainly the night that we left Thandi, which was 2 nights ago, she definitely met up with Tlalamba. And so I'm 99.9% sure that she's absolutely fine. Right. Jamie has 2 specialities. One is hyenas. The other, of course, is those antelope with the, well, sort of hyena-looking babies, I suppose.
I don't know if I would call myself any kind of a specialist in Topi. I've absolutely no idea what I'm doing. I'm just driving backwards and forwards staring at Topi. And I think what I've done is I've found a group of male Topi once again, and they're all gathered together because the balloons have just flown over their heads. So they've tightened up their grouping out of nervousness. I think these are all males, though. Just looking at the males, or perhaps immature females as well, as part of the group. I don't see any sign of pregnant females or lactating females. So we're going to carry on. we're going to carry on and we're going to keep searching for a little bit, and then I'm going back to Waffles, because there's a possibility we could spend all morning driving round and round this marsh and not have any luck whatsoever. So I'm not going to stay looking at these boys. I know Waffles' cubs are going to come out soon. Well, I say I know. I believe they are. So we're just going to do some slipping and sliding. The buffalo have come and trashed this road. I'm trying to even it out slightly using my tires so that it doesn't dry a complete mess. Oh, I found a hyena. Not what I was looking for, but I found one. I've lost the communal... I don't know if I've lost the communal den. I don't think there is a communal den anymore. Just checking the topi I'm looking at. Oh, you lot are all absolutely enormous. What have you been doing? There we go. Back to their normal spots. I can't even work out who this is. This hyena is so enormous. They are bulging. I said I thought it smelled like Waffles had been eating something last night. Look at the belly on that hyena. That's absurd. She's enormous. Hey girl. Look at you. That's bordering on obscene. You are so large. Whoopsie. Careful the mud. It's tough when you've just eaten 20% of your body weight. Conrad says from Final Control that this hyena has had 6 meals. This hyena has just eaten 20% of her body weight, which is about the maximum for a hyena. So for I suppose, a 60 kilogram hyena, you can work that one out. About 12 kilograms of meat. That is a lot of food. That hyena is so fat. She is enormous. She's waddling. It's ridiculous. I think they probably took advantage of the wildebeest that were hanging around last night. No, she's not pregnant. I don't think she's pregnant. I can actually see distended nipples. I'm pretty sure that she's got cubs already. She's lactating. I can't work out exactly who it is, because, I mean... Yeah, it's Waddles. We'll go with Waddles for today. I mean, that is not quite the fattest hyena that I've ever seen. The fattest hyena that I've ever seen, that particular... Oh, there's another one. Coming to the left. Also equally waddly. Look at this. There we go. There's another hyena joining in. Just as fat as the other. Whatever these hyenas have been up to, they are well and truly fed. The lions are working their way into the state as well.
Well, the lions are on their way to being well and truly fed. And they are really devouring this little wildy very quickly at the moment. 3 lionesses make very short work on a juvenile wildebeest. So these are the 3 Olololo girls I was talking about earlier this morning. You can see every now and then there's just that casual head up. Make sure there's no hyenas or male lions or any other possible threat coming in. Hannah is asking, do lions dislike the taste of the stomach contents? Yes, well, the contents of the stomach itself, but they will eat the stomach. So when I say the contents of the stomach, they are undigested grasses and digested grasses. They won't, but they will eat sort of the stomach lining, the lining of the intestines, without any fuss whatsoever. munchity. Now, unfortunately, we are at a very visible corner from one of the main roads, and there are quite a lot of vehicles waiting to get in. The Scaries are there keeping them at bay, so the rule in the Mara is a maximum of 5 vehicles in a sighting. So what we're going to do is probably move on in a minute or two, give other people a chance, and because it's been dry for a little while, I'm going to go head down to the south, see if we can find the sausages, but quickly across to James.
Look, we've got lions, everybody. That is the Nkuma Pride, we think, at Treehouse Waterhole. Just wandering down. We'll try and get a slightly closer look. We were tracking Tundi. There are tracks of Tundi coming down here. We don't know where the rest of the Pride is, so we obviously need to be very careful as we go through here. How special is that? Lions on foot? Friday morning? We've just got to see where the rest of them are. They certainly heard us coming. So let's just carefully walk down towards the waterhole. Alright, we're going to try and get another view. While we do that, we're going to go to an unscheduled broadcast, so I'm going to shut up. Just one line. Welcome everybody to this unscheduled broadcast from the western fringes of the Great Kruger National Park. We are on foot. John, yes, it is safer in the Jeep, but it's not unsafe now. You can see that she is moving away from us. She doesn't like the presence of human beings on foot. And that is very typical of lions. You can see she's gently trying to kind of move away and increase the distance between us and her. She doesn't see us as something to eat. She sees us as a threat. And so interestingly, you'd have a much better view of her in a vehicle, but that's not the point of this. The point of being on a bushwalk like this is to experience the wilderness in all its rawness on foot as a human being with all the frailties that our physicality brings. And it's so fascinating to watch how a creature like that, much faster, much more powerful, much more ferocious than any human being, is afraid of us. And it's a real lesson for us. Anna-Marie, yes, my heart is racing, except that we saw her from quite a distance away, which means that she didn't kind of get up and charge us. We didn't startle her. So there's really a very, I suppose, what would we say, a gentle understanding between us at the moment. If we were to keep pursuing her and harassing her, eventually she'd lie down in a bush and wait for us and then have a go. But we're not going to do that. There, we've got a lovely view of her just moving off. There she goes. You got her, Senzel. Pisces, don't let this make you scared. This is very exciting. And it's the best way to plug into the wilderness. It's the best way to plug into something that is still wild within us. There she is. Alan, a lion can run probably at about 80 kilometers an hour, so about 50 miles an hour. But her only reaction now is to maintain the distance that she has between us, and that is about 100 to 150 meters. And she's doing that because she sees us as a predator. Now, it's when she looks at us like this that the heart rate starts to go up slightly. There's something in our bodies that understands profoundly that that is a powerful, powerful predator. Liz, I haven't even checked which way the wind's blowing. It's probably coming gently from the northwest. It's irrelevant at this stage, Liz, though, because what's going on is that, of course, she's seen us. Kyle, I've never had to stand down a profound lion charge. I've definitely had lions take a few steps towards me and make a growl. And that is an absolutely heart-stopping experience, but it's not something you want. What we have here is perfect. She's watching us. She's not afraid of us, but at the same time she sees us as a threat, so she will maintain that distance in the same way that we are maintaining this distance. So there is no angst in her reactions at all. Just fantastic. All right, everybody who's just joined us for the unscheduled broadcast, we're going to continue here on foot. You can join us, of course, on YouTube. You just go to YouTube and type in SafariLive. You'll find us. We're also 2 stations live in the Masai Mara, 2 stations, 2 people live in the Masai Mara for the next 2 hours or so. Thanks for joining us. Insane. All right, let's quickly go across to Jamie. Apparently Tlalamba's not far from here, so we'll see what we can do on that score.
This is absolutely insane. Yo, that zebra's going to catch that hyena. Oh, that was close. A hyena's chasing a topi. They just came sprinting across the plains. I'm sorry to have interrupted James in the middle of his on-foot experience with lions, but that was absolutely phenomenal to watch. This hyena came sprinting out. I know we're very far away, but there's no point in us going any closer because we won't catch up with them, and we've got the best view here. And you can just see that hyena sprinting after the topi. Some of the topis are stotting, in other words, bouncing, doing a high bouncing trot to actually show the hyena how fit and strong they are. I think they've ditched it. I don't know where it went. Then the hyena ran through a herd of zebra, and the zebra actually turned round and attacked the hyena and very nearly caught it. That was insane. Where's this hyena gone now? I think it dropped off a little bit to the right. I know we're so far away, but there's no way on earth I will get there in time and find it, especially because that's a non-off-roading area. Oh, goodness. That was crazy. Is that it there? Oh, it's so far away. Jason, indeed, that hyena was positively sprinting at its top speed. I think it was hoping that the topi... Is that it there? I think it is. No, that's topi. I think it was hoping that the topi would fall down in... Or slip in the mud. I don't think it expected to get chased by a zebra, though. I didn't expect that either. It ran through, scattering zebra in every direction. I can't even check with my binoculars because Manu's zoom is actually more powerful than my binoculars are. We stopped to look at some topi and to see whether or not we could find a pregnant one. There's more hyenas over there. Look at that. I can see them all the way to the right. If you look... Oh, now I lost them. Where was I looking? That's a topi. I promise I just saw a hyena. You got them there. Yes, there they are. Gathered together. This place has turned into such a swamp. Oh, look at that. They're feeding. That, I think, is where they've been the entire time. Okay, let's try and get there. Where is there? There is there. Oh, there is across the lugger. Of course it's across the lugger, but I think I can get closer from this side. Hold on, this is going to be highly unpleasant. So that's where those larger hyenas have come from, and what we'll probably find when we get here is Soup, Hershey, Ferg, all the high rankers, and Elsie, hopefully, who I haven't seen in ages. I'm not going to look at you because there's lots of holes as we drive through here. Lots of places waiting to catch us and throw us into turmoil. Hello, Topi. Any pregnant Topi? You look quite large. Unfortunately, we're going to be blocked by the North Clan's favourite river system, or lugger, but we'll get a bit closer. I don't know. I think there's a very good chance they got a topi, possibly a topi calf, although a topi calf would not have left such large bellies. I mean, a topi calf would really have been just a bite-sized meal for this many hyena. However, it could be both. It could be mom and baby. We don't know yet. There's just so many topi around here, it makes it more likely that it was one of them. Could be a wildebeest. Ah, North Clan. Always busy. This is the whooping that we heard earlier. There's more topi running, panicking at the back. Just hold on. Ha 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 ha. Hannah says, get the winch ready, Brent. It was entirely my own fault. I have no excuses. Absolutely no excuses. Oh, goodness. This is getting sloshy. We might have to stop here, unfortunately. So there we go. There's the hyenas over there, finishing off what is left of something. I think I can see lobster and chow in there. It looks like a wildebeest. Does it? Or does it look like a buffalo? A very curved horn. It's definitely not a topi. It's a buffalo. That's crazy. It's a buffalo. Manu says he can see slightly better than I can. He says it's a buffalo. So that herd that we saw earlier, I noticed, remember how I said that the buffalo have trashed the road, slipping and sliding in the mud? The hyenas have caught a buffalo. That's impressive, because that is a big buffalo. That is an adult buffalo that they've caught. Might have been limping, might have been slightly weak, or they took full advantage of the mud. That is a very fat hyena. No wonder they all look so enormous. That is a really, really good meal for the hyenas of North Clan. It's a pity it's so far away, but I'm not going to be able to get around there. Well done, guys. There's another hyena lying in the grass. There's more hyenas on the sidelines. What will happen is when the meal is first killed, all of the hyenas will dive in and try and get a bite. The low rankers sometimes alarm calling to scare the high rankers so that they can grab a morsel or two. And then what will happen is once it gets down to the bones, the bare bones of it, then the high rankers will be all that's left. If they're there, of course, because they'll be able to chase all of the others away from what little remains. Well done, North Clan. A buffalo is a serious meal. I'm just going to wait and see if perhaps they... Oh, hello. Cool. All right. We're going to keep looking for our birthing topi, or perhaps stick around here. I'm not quite sure yet, haven't decided. Let's see if James still has his lions on foot.
We just had a nice view of her. Things are going crazy around here. There are fresh Tingana tracks on the road here. We can hear a wild dog calling up towards quarantine clearings. And this lioness is coming back down towards Treehouse Dam. She's calling. She's making a little contact call. Ooh, ooh, ooh. And she's doing that because we think the rest of the pride must be here. Herbie's just leading us forward to get into a good viewing position. We'll get a good view of her on the road here. She's moving off towards the west there, I think. Can you see her? Okay, we'll get a view now. So we've hardly moved since we last saw you. We're just kind of standing here. There, the rest of the pride. Look, there's the rest of the pride going now. They're all playing. They're all full of blood. They've definitely either killed something or stolen something from Tundi or Tingana. Tingana's tracks are all over here. Now they're watching us. This is just so special. Shall we go and stand on the dam wall? Let's go onto the dam wall, everybody. I'm just suggesting that to Herbert. We might get a nice view of the whole pride. Just carry on. Stick close. Okay, what there? Herbert reckons they've definitely got a kill in the drainage line. feeding into the river, not into the river, into the dam. Isn't that wonderful? 3 or 4 of them now. The whole Nkuhuma Pride, we think. And they can see us watching them, obviously. They've got fantastic eyesight. It's been a long time since I've seen lions on foot. And to have a long view like this with them on foot is very special. Let's move around to the dam wall. We're a long way from them. There's no danger at all. And Dory, yes, absolutely. It's in the tree boughs that we should be looking if we're hoping to see Tingana. Because one of them, there's another one there. Well, apparently the wild dogs are on the dam cam, which is fantastic. A number of you complaining that we don't have a car today. I do apologise. There's only so much we can do, you know. There's another one. Just moving through there. Well done, Senzo. So definitely a kill in this drainage line, feeding towards the waterhole. If you do want to see the wild dogs, just pop along to the dam cam. Otherwise everything is very quiet suddenly, with lions watching us. I love you, thank you very much. You say that this is action-packed. It certainly is action-packed. You can hear the dog calling now. And apparently they're heading towards Twin Dams Road. It will definitely only be one calling. It wouldn't be a whole pack calling like that. I'm going to suggest we move slowly onto the dam wall. Come, Sens. Let's just take a few steps up here. Now, we're not trying to provoke any sort of reaction from these cats. We just want to get a nice view of them, so that those who are disconcerted by the fact we aren't on a vehicle can perhaps enjoy the sighting as well. Yeah, the whole pride's been lying on the dam wall here. There's the rest of the pride now. Oh, all of them. This is fantastic. This is unbelievable stuff. We're going to get a fantastic view of them now. All just inside the riverbed here. Hi guys. What you been eating? Huh? Something big. They're covered in blood. I'm going to go with zebra. You're going to go with wildebeest. Herbert reckons wildebeest. He's got migration fever. Or kudu. Kudu's a good call. Just trying to think what we saw around here yesterday. Sharon, it's safe fish, yes, absolutely. If we watch their behaviour, it's completely safe. We don't know, I mean, whatever they've killed, they've definitely spent a long time eating. I mean, they're not feeding at the moment. So we don't know if there is a kill there. We're still at about 100 to 150 metres. In fact, maybe even 200 metres from them. So that's about, well, I mean, that's almost 800 feet. And so even at this distance, if they had just killed something, they wouldn't even look at us. They wouldn't worry at all. I'm just looking to the left of the picture now to see if we can't spot the rest. You know, it's so rare to have a sighting like this of lions on foot. Normally what happens is you'll see them, especially in this terrain where there's woodland and thick grass, and they'll just stand up quickly. You'll get a quick view and they'll move off, or you'll have to move off quickly. Whereas we've got them in the open now. There's one coming from the left, which is fantastic. and we can stand here and view them with comfort for ourselves and for them. They don't have to be nervous at all. We don't have to be nervous at all. We can just revel in the fact that we're looking at one of the world's most ferocious predators on foot. That wild dog is still calling, and he's coming this way. The rest of his pack has not responded yet. And if we see the wild dogs on foot, anybody who is worried about us not having a vehicle, you have to say sorry, okay? Benny, you say the lions are looking at me. Yes, they absolutely are looking at me. They're looking at Senzo and Herbert as well. Why wouldn't they be? I mean, you saw Senzo's socks earlier today. Very, very special. The Umkuhuma Pride. Per foot. This is the first place I saw them on foot, actually. Some 3 years ago. It was a different makeup then. The first lion I saw was Junior, who was a big favourite. He was about a 3-year-old male at that stage. Gosh, it's difficult to believe that he must be 6.5 now, almost 7, into his prime. And I walked in here looking for them off the vehicle and had the kind of sighting I've just described to you, where you come round a bush, step on a stick, and 13 lions, it wasn't 13, I think it was 9 of them, jumped up in terror and ran off from little me. All right, we're going to wait here. We're not going to go anywhere. We're going to see what happens. That dog may well come towards us. So let's go back to Brent, who has now got a posing male lion with a mane almost as impressive as his.
Well, there we go. It's the big boys from last night. They are definitely making themselves well known in this area. And isn't he beautiful? So this is the second male, the one who looks like he's got a bit of a receding hairline. The other male with the blonde sort of, what's it called? Dreadlock. He is lying over there, just off to the right, where this guy's probably going to head to right now. So he's been lying in a murram pit here. You can see his big herd of buffalo behind, but they're really fat compared to when we found them last night. So they've managed to eat quite a bit over the evening. After we left them, they went into that marshy area, all the wildebeest around. So there's a good chance that they've had more than one wildebeest, judging by the sounds of their bellies. There we can just see his head popping up over there. And you can see those bellies are a lot more full than last night. They've got a little wobbly belly on this morning now. Let's just move forward a tiny bit. So, right in the harsh sunlight over there, that's the other male's head popping up. So I think they're not going to move too far from this area today. I think what we do is just going to go over here. And we'll let this one walk. We'll go to the one who's sleeping over there. Well, not sleeping, his head's up now. Oh, and the wind is starting to blow, so those of you get ready for your screenshots. You could get that quintessential male lion blowing in the wind look. I just want to get us on the right side of the light. Dangerous Cute says, when did Fabio move to Africa? Obviously talking about the male lion and their beautiful manes. So that one, you can see that very distinct blonde little dreadlock that's down there on the sort of to the right. Very, very blonde in a very dark mane. Isn't that absolutely gorgeous? Okay, well, there's again, I don't think these boys are going to get up to too much, so we'll sit here for a little longer and then I might go see if we can find some other cats this morning. In the meantime, Jamie's got her current favorite creature in the Mara.
We are going to try and make our way towards those hyenas because I can see them running up and down, but we've got a very cute special surprise, or little surprise. We haven't managed to find our unicorn Topi, but we have found one very healthy looking Topi calf who's all dried off and fluffy in the Mara morning wind. It's amazing how they go from slightly wobbly looking creatures to, in 2 days, little mini antelope that are quite fully comfortable on those legs. They know exactly what they're doing, how to run. It's just phenomenal how they change. There goes Mum, leading it off. They go. The transformation is phenomenal. Already it looks like a little baby Topi. Whereas when they're born, they don't quite. Look at it bouncing after Mum. Already more than capable, well, goodbye, of keeping up with her. I'm not going to keep following her because she's a little bit unsettled. You can hardly blame her with whatever went on last night with the hyenas hunting. So I'm going to keep looking for the... We're going to keep looking for the unicorn, Topi female, who is very pregnant. And at the same time... Let's try and stay on the road. At the same time, we're going to make our way closer to the hyenas because I can see them still dashing around. They don't seem to be quite finished with their morning yet. Right, we're going to make our way there. We're going to send you back across to James before his lions wander off.
We're going to have a short view of them again. Senzo, you're welcome to sit down if you want while we wait. This dog is coming right here. And the lions are moving away. What I'm going to suggest we do is let's watch them disappear, and then I think we need to get on our haunches and just get below ground level so that if it does come here, we have a good view. It will be extremely special to have this wild dog on foot. It's calling as the lions move off. I'm pretty sure they still have some meat in there. And that's why they're filing down the drainage line. Isn't that cool? It's so magic. I think there's probably still some meat left on whatever they've killed. Poor thing. Must have had a terrifying night. At least the suffering is over now. Just listening to the radio. Okay, the dogs are coming here. Come over here, Sinzel. We're going to get below the line here of the dam. Are they coming on the road? We've just heard they're coming on the road, everybody. I don't think we should start the unscheduled broadcast. No, we're not entirely sure where they're going to go. Or where it's going to go. It's close by here. He's coming towards the dam. We need to look to the west. Yeah, let's get below the line of the dam here. There they are. If they see us, they're going to move. So let's get down. And if we shouldn't just sit here and wait and see if it comes down. Keep well below. This is going to be very frustrating, but I think we need to sit actually below the level of the dam and just wait, because what will happen, you can sit down. It could easily just come running around here and then it won't see us. I know this is not going to be the best picture you've ever had, but let's just wait. I'll tell you if I can hear anything. Wisteria, you say this is so apprehensive. Absolutely, it's full of jeopardy, isn't it? Suspense. Herbie's just talking on the radio to find out if they're still coming this way. Haven't heard anything yet.
Yeah, it was only one maybe coming towards you.
Still coming? And apparently there's even better news, everybody, than lions and wild dogs on foot, and that is that Scoobert, the baby blacksmith lapwing, lives. We did some research on Scoobert the other day, or last night, and apparently only 26% of them will fledge. He's got to wait 40 days before he can fly, young Scoobert, so he has to survive there for 40 days. Herbie's just looking up over the dam wall now. Oh, he's coming. He's coming. We're at Treehouse Dam. Yes, go with the unscheduled, quickly, Kirsten. Welcome everybody. We've got a wild dog on foot here in the Western Kruger National Park. We've just had lions. We've had the most wonderful morning. My name is James Hendry. We've got Senzo on camera and you can ask us any questions you want. I can't see. Oh, there it is. Can you see it there, Senzo? Look at that. It's a wild dog on foot. He's looking for the rest of his pack. He's been calling. He might call again for us now. I can't see if he's watching us. I don't think he is. No, he's not looking at us. There, he's calling. This is the most epic thing, Fern, as you say. Epic completely. It is heartrending listening to them call like that. The rest of the pack, we actually know where it is. We've heard on the radio that it's really not very far from here. Yes, NZ, this is an endangered species. This is the second most endangered carnivore in Africa. That's not to say that it isn't extremely endangered. There are only between 250 and 300 left in the Kruger National Park. And probably fewer than 3,000 left in the world. Bobby, I think this is the male. The two females are on a clearing not far from our camp. Somebody's found them in a vehicle. He's just seen us, and the reason I know that is that he went, oh. He went, oh. That's the kind of alarm bark they make. Oh. Laura, you see, this is absolutely incredible. We have had a morning you cannot believe. We've just watched lions on foot. We've now got a wild dog on foot. And I'm not sure if it's the same one, but I think it could well be. But we've seen this wild dog separated from his pack again and again, calling that heart-rending, oh, oh, oh. Tammy has only been separated probably since dawn. They went hunting at dawn. He's watched me now. He's looked at me. He's not vaguely worried. He just gave a glance towards us. No, MS, it's not dangerous. It's not dangerous because they don't see us as prey. They see us as a threat. The others are calling. There's a hyena now. There's a hyena coming in. Can you see the hyena, Senzo? It's coming down towards where we last saw the dog. You're on the dog. Keep watching the dog. There is a hyena moving towards him. I'll see if I can get a better view from this side. Got elephants screaming behind me. No, I can't see anything from here, Senzo. What an amazing, amazing morning. Ruth, interestingly, he was calling as we were waiting, watching the lions, and the lions weren't attracted by him. They got up and they moved off, and I think they've got a kill there. So they're not going to be attracted enough to bother to go and try and have a go at him. But certainly they would have heard it, but it doesn't bug them to the extent that, unless they came across him, they wouldn't bother to try and attack him. He's gone now and he's stopped calling, and I think that's because of the hyena. I think I heard the females calling further up towards the north, and maybe he'll head towards them. How very special. Yeah, June, we're having the most unbelievable bushwalk now. All we need to do to really complete it is find a leopard. Very special. All right, we've lost view of them. I don't think he's going to come back towards this area. And the lions have moved off. So we're going to say goodbye to you who've just joined us. And you can, of course, keep watching us on YouTube. You just type in SafariLive. Saimara with all the action of the Great Migration. We'll see you soon. All right, let's go back across to Jamie, who's got some topi. It's not often that the action here outdoes the action in the Masai Mara, but my goodness, Treehouse Dam is playing ball here today.
What an awesome, awesome morning it has been, both in the Masai Mara and here in the Masai Mara and in Juba. We actually stopped here to watch the topi trying to cross this little stream or lugger. Now, even though it is quite low and it's not properly flowing, there's still a risk of crocodiles, and we've been watching them do these spectacular leaps over the water. This one has taken a slightly more sensible approach. That was a less spectacular leap and more just a little hop over a far better crossing point than the ones we're taking earlier. Yes, an emphatic nod from the topi to drive home the fact that it was the more sensible of the two. Oh, the rest of them don't seem... I don't know what to do. I'm so torn. There's so much going on. Unfortunately, I can't get to the hyenas, not properly. Not without making enormous ruts off-road to try and get through the mud, which is, I don't think, justifiable because they've finished off that carcass. It's not really fair to damage the environment that way, so we're not going to. We're going to leave them as they were. So I'm still torn. I kind of want to go back to Waffles, but at the same time I'm seeing baby topi. There's one up ahead of me in the road. So I still want to find the unicorn. I want to stay with the rest of North Clan and see how the cubs are doing. It's too much for one person. I need to split myself up. Here goes another little one. I think what I'm going to do is go and look for our unicorn topi and then go back to Waffles, because we've got such a narrow window. Woxie, will there be any more river sightings? You know that we've been checking the river every single day. The wildebeest just aren't crossing at the moment. There will be. They will cross again before the end of the migration. But at present, they have not been gathering on the banks of the Mara River. So the most we could hope for was that little hop that we just had back there. Otherwise, the wildebeest for now are not gathering around the main crossings. At the same time, they are crossing a bit, some of them are crossing further south of us, where unfortunately we don't have any signal. So we haven't been avoiding the river crossings, there just simply haven't been any that have worked out for us. But we're always checking in the main crossings to see whether or not they're going to cross. Going really slowly so we don't scare the little topi. It's okay, little one. Usually young animals of this age will take their reactions from their mothers. So if mom is relaxed, then the baby should be pretty relaxed as well. Right, I'm going to come to a very subtle stop. There we go. Another little one. They're just everywhere at the moment, which is fantastic for us. It's really lovely. Kirsty says it's Warren, the topi. Oh, fluff, there you go, you got a nod. You got a nod. I can't even speak properly, I'm so busy trying to work out where to go and what to do. See what I mean about the physical transformation? In 2 days they seem so much bigger than when we first saw them tottering around. It's astounding. Well done, Mum. You've obviously done a really, really good job of feeding your little one. You can see the wind is howling. I'm quite grateful for that. Oh! Now, Beer Monitor, you say so much leg. I'm very distracted. Perhaps possibly an inappropriately timed comment. You don't often see zebras mating. She's urinating now in response to the male's attentions, but she didn't seem all that interested. And judging by that ear flat back expression that she had, she actually looked very irritated. Now he's going to have a sniff around where she urinated. Is he going to phlegm and grimace for us, or is he going to go and check the other female? Let's just have a look. That's interesting. I don't think we've ever properly seen zebras mate at all. There we go, there's the phlegm and grimace. Hilarious looking. Basically what he's doing is opening up his vomeral nasal organ, or his organ of Jacobson as it's colloquially known, and that's actually technically more reptilian. And it is a way of tasting the smell, so really properly analysing it. Now we have residual ones that we no longer utilise, but for most mammals that are largely scent-based creatures, it's very, very important to their everyday interactions. So that's what he's doing, is now that those females have urinated, he's testing to see whether or not there is a chance that he could mate and impregnate them. So he's testing for estrus, essentially. Something that Mercy in Final Control in Mara discovered is that if you Google phlegm and grimace, it's all mammals, except for one exception, and that is me. It's quite disturbing in the Google Images section if you want to test that. Anyway, Brent is really on a lion roll this morning. Let's go see which pride he's found this time.
Well, we found a really, really big pride of lions, but I'm not sure whether they're nervous from us or they're nervous from possibly other lions around. I think it is the Ingarare pride with the young males. Now, they don't see cars too much. I'm just trying to get us into a spot where we can see them. I don't want to drive directly at them as well. But this is a big pride of lions. When we saw them running, whoops, daisies, in the grass, I mean, it looked like a herd of antelope. There were so many lions. Okay, let's try from here. Now we've lost some of them going into the dip. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 that I can see. But they are a little bit nervous. I'm just going to keep going forward again. Now, as I say, I don't know whether they've been frightened by new males, because if it is the Ingarara pride with those young boys, I've spent... Oh, there's more lions on the other side. My goodness, this is a big pride. Now, this is one of the biggest prides in the Mara. Yeah, they're quite skittish. Okay, so let's count there. We've got 4 up front so far. Some youngsters as well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Heading to the safety of the drainage line. They probably feel a little bit less exposed. Now, that's why I'm not pushing them any further. That's why I've stopped here. You can see some of them are stopping to look back at us, but some of them are not relaxed. Now, in this pride, there are individuals that are more relaxed than others. The young boys tending to be far more relaxed than the others. Hey guys, we're not chasing you. See, now some of them are stopping, just looking back, watching us. So that's why I'm not trying to go any closer just yet, so I don't want to disturb them. Oh my goodness, Archie, directly opposite us there's a termite mound. There's more lions over there. So where are we going? Yep, you're in the right spot, a bit to the right. I said this is a massive pride. More still streaming through the gully. Dory, indeed, a lot of mouths to feed. So it's quite difficult to see. Oh, jeez, another one pops up. Another one pops up. They're just more popping up everywhere. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. There's 14 past us. 15, 16, 17 that I can see. And with 18 popped out is coming in from the left at the back. There we go, number 18. This is definitely one of the largest prides in the Mara and the Mara Triangle, but they don't see a lot of cars. We're down in the southwest. Not many people come down here, and you can see I've stopped moving the car. They seem to have relaxed a little bit. Now it would probably take a month or two to really truly habituate these guys. The strong winds today are also not going to help at all with their demeanor. They're quite a few of their senses being compromised. As I said, I'm not. Yeah, I can see quite a few of those young boys. The young boys are normally okay, but I think the fact that the females are so nervous. Okay, I'm going to spend some time with these not quite relaxed lions and see if we can get a little bit closer with some patience. And while we do that, Jamie has found her unicorn.
So while Brent does that, look who we found. Once again, Manu to the rescue. Admittedly, she doesn't seem to move very far. She is still very pregnant. We have found our unicorn Topi. I never ever would have thought that we would have been able to do this and actually accomplish it and find her 3 days in a row. It's quite astounding. But there she is. She still has not had her baby, as we can tell from her round belly. Although both Manu and myself feel as though she looks as though she's deflated slightly. Perhaps her pregnancy had made her somewhat flatulent. She definitely doesn't look as big as she did. But it's almost certainly her. It must be. There's that little stump on the right-hand side from where her horn is broken off. Imagine if we come upon her tomorrow morning giving birth. We then would have followed the same Topi for 4 days in a row. That would be astounding. She actually looks a little thin. I don't know if it's just the way her weight's been redistributed because of the pregnancy. Because she's pregnant. Oh, mixing up my words today. I can see her vertebra. I don't think she's ill. I just think weight is pulling her skin down over her bones. Let's see if we can see it kick again. We did the last time. She's eating, still happily eating away, which yesterday we decided was probably a sign that birth is not imminent. But what animals like to do is when we say something, particularly if we present it as an absolute, they like to take that rule book and throw it out of the window as hard as they possibly can. And it's usually, with a sort of strange twist of Murphy's Law, it's usually when we've said something. Like, for example, that leopard won't do this, and it does it. Hosana won't scent mark around Tingana's territory. Hosana will disperse. Oh wait, Hosana's back again. All those sorts of things. Animals like to catch us out. I don't think a birth is imminent, though. She's not exactly nibbling half-heartedly at the grass for breakfast. She's tucking in with the full appetite of a pregnant lady. Oh, Dory, I wonder if that will be the case, if the unicorn will wait for my last day, which is, I suppose if we're going off the morning theory, it'll be Sunday morning, because I'm going to leave at 4 o'clock on Monday morning, so as not to miss a flight. So perhaps she will. Perhaps she'll wait for it as a goodbye present. You know what, I'll just be happy if we come upon her tomorrow with a happy, healthy Topi calf. That would make me equally happy, honestly. I would like that a lot. Yes, the tofi talk. I can't seem to get my words together. Archie sent me another Swahili tongue twister yesterday, but I can't even begin to say it once. Or read it. And if, just to clarify, Manu can't either. What is it? Kipi... Manu can't say it. Kipi kikusi kiti sacho. Kipi kikusi kiti sacho. No. Kipi kikusi kiti sacho. Kipi kiku. Oh, no, I can't. I absolutely cannot. I'm usually quite good at tongue twisters, but that one gets me. It apparently means what's bothering you or what's bugging you. Kipi kikusi kiti sacho. Kikusi kiti sacho. Kipi kikusi siki. This is all really just distraction while we stare at the unicorn Topi, in the hope she suddenly decides to prove me wrong. Don't think she's going to. Okay. Now, we have a decision to make. We have a rapidly disappearing window of time in which to head back to Waffles and her cubs. I've got a secret fear they might already be back in bed. Wisteria, that's very kind, thank you. Wisteria says that they really hope that I'm here to watch her give birth. Of course, it will involve all of you as well. And I really hope so too. You've become oddly invested in this single-horned Topi, if only purely by the fact that I'm taken by surprise that we've managed to find her. Well, I say we. Manu's managed to find her every day. Let's call it the royal we, shall we? The royal wild earth. Helps to pick an animal with an easily identifiable feature, because I have to confess, I don't think I'd be able to tell the difference between one Topi and the next, unless presented with such an obvious feature. short of counting ridges on their horns or something, I actually don't know how you would. Obviously, there's males and females and youngsters and older ones, but beyond that, I don't think it would be possible to tell the difference between individual taupi. Maybe if you spend enough time staring at them, they start to look as different as our leopards do. Leopards very conveniently have spots, taupi do not. Okay, I'm happy. I'm happy that we've reacquainted ourselves with her. I am, after our 5 o'clock departure, now desperate to go and find out. I mean, those cubs have probably been tap dancing, which is my favorite term for whenever we leave Waffles. That's what her cubs do. They come out, put little top hats on, and they tap dance because we've left them. Okay, girl, good luck. The worst nightmare, of course, would be if she does give birth and then North Clan comes and eats the baby, which is a serious possibility. Okay. Well, Dan, I'm very glad you would like to see Waffles' cubs today. I would like to see Waffles' cubs too. I wasn't planning on getting waylaid by the rest of North Clan, eating a buffalo, so my timing is slightly off. And it's going to take me a while because I'm going to have to use a different road so that we don't keep using the same road repeatedly and deepening those ruts that are already in existence. That and my car feels like it's going to fall apart. If it does choose to fall apart, well, I will just have to resort to walking around the Mara Triangle. I'm not allowed to do that. Fortunately, James does not face the same restrictions on Juma.
Fortunately, and the reason, of course, that Jamie's car feels like it's going to fall apart is because Jamie's car is going to fall apart. Those cars are not what one would describe as spring chickens, masterful pieces of engineering. They are what we describe in South Africa as iskorokoro, which means, basically, it's an onomatopoeic word meaning rattling, iskorokoro. Now, what we're doing to complete our bushwalk is seeing if we can find Hosana. They had a brief glimpse of him coming into this area here, just near the old hyena den, or Philemon's cut line. And if we can complete that, then we're going home for breakfast. We're just going to turn the pack off, camera off, and go home because we can't do better. X-Ranger says, apparently I need to find a partridge in a pear tree. X-Ranger, you know you do actually find partridges in South Africa. Interestingly, only in the rather, famous location of Robben Island. Robben Island, of course, is where Nelson Mandela was incarcerated for many of his 27 years in jail, along with a lot of other struggle veterans and heroes. And the chukka partridge, which is a dog's calling stool, the chukka partridge, which is an exotic species, occurs on Robben Island. And we won't make it all the way down there before the end of this drive, I'm afraid, X-Ranger. Apparently we're going to go across to Brent. Brent has got what R. Beard has described as a lion eating a referee.
Well, we've got to be quite careful how loud we talk. We've managed to sneak by crisscrossing across the open plain, and one lioness is a bit more relaxed than the others, and she does not want to give up on this zebra carcass. Now, when it comes to habituation, this is a good sign. It means that you're going to be able, hopefully Shield will relax the rest of the pride. Now, we can't see all of them, but if we have a look down, you can just see their heads and some of their bodies. So just there, Arch. A little bit to the left, and a little bit more to the... There we go, you got them there. Heading into the shade. So there's very little left on the zebra carcass. But it says a properly skittish pride that's not used to vehicles and people, which is always, for me, really exciting to see. And it's always a challenge to get nice and close to them. And the fact that we've got to get like 20 meters from one... Michael, hello. Michael wants to know, how does the habituation process for lion differ to leopard? Well, Michael, lions are quite a lot easier to habituate than skittish leopards. So you can be a little bit more brazen in your approach. Not much. And generally it'll take 2 or 3 months to completely habituate a completely wild pride of lions, wilder and more skittish than these ones. And it just takes time. So when you first see them, you did what we did. We stopped, we watched from a distance, let them get comfortable at that distance. I could see that that was their comfortable distance, and I then spotted this other lioness over here, and she looked more comfortable, so we drove parallel. We never drive directly at them, and she looked like she was going to run from a while ago, so I stopped at about 60 meters, waited for a bit. When she calmed down, started feeding again, we moved to this position, and now this is as close as you would go. Now the lions will eventually get used to your vehicle around, and quickly across to James.
There's a hyena, everybody, and hyenas, as we know, well, they look for other predators to steal their food. Now, whether that is the same hyena, looks like the same pale hyena we saw chasing the wild dog, and perhaps it is lurking around where Hosanna is. Come over here, Sinzel, you can see him or her. Hello, little hyena. It looks like a naughty kid that's been cuffed doing something. There are more. More of them. Where are their herbs? Have you got them there, Senzo? Ah, yes, running at high speed. Well spotted. Another one. Something is going on here. There's been so much action around. Tracks of Hosanna and Tingana here. We did find tracks of Tundi and Tlalamba, and for those of you who are worried about Tlalamba, Aubrey saw her in a vehicle. She was moving, she wasn't close to the lions. We're obviously not going to try and follow up on foot because it would make her afraid. So she's absolutely fine. We've had tracks of her mother. We've had tracks of both male leopards, Tingana and Hosanna. And so, well, we might be lucky. And we might get our leopard on foot. Janine, I think you're starting to push your luck slightly. A pangolin and a honey badger. I mean, if it was night time, obviously we'd find them both, of course. But it's day now. Very special day. One of those very rare days, as I was walking along here thinking, you know, when you're inexperienced in the bush and you have a day like this, you think you could replicate it. You think, well, this is going to happen again and again, and it'll happen in a similar situation where you'd go down to the waterhole and expect to find the lion sitting there almost. It's a sort of subconscious expectation. And no 2 days out here are ever the same. And this day that we've had is unique, and maybe we'll have other very special days, but this one will be uniquely special forever. Alright, we did disturb Brent and his lion eating the referee, so let's go back to him now. We're going to carry on looking for leopards. There is Herbert. Herbert has had a great day.
Well, I wonder if that herd of zebra is the one that they managed to catch one out of last night. And as I say, our final count, I think, with these lions was 22. 22 individual lions. And that's why there's almost nothing left of this zebra. Now, she is still a bit nervous, and strangely enough, it's a car that's probably close to 1 kilometer away that's causing her nerves. Every time that car moves, she gets a bit jumpy. Now, she seems okay with us at the moment, and we're just keeping still, keeping my voice very calm. Oof. The strong wind as well is definitely not going to help with them being relaxed. It's okay, girl. It's okay. Now, again, very important not to make big, loud noises when you're close to unhabituated lions. This one's, she's not too bad, but she's definitely far better than the rest of her pride. Jason, yes, they will consume the hide, sometimes not all of it, but with a pride of that size, 22 lions, very little will go to waste. Now, I also don't want to stay here too long. I want to give the rest of the pride a chance to move back, come resume feeding, even though there is very little left. But I would say, with concerted effort in this area, you could probably get this pride very relaxed within about a month and a half. And she will be the most important one because she is already quite relaxed in comparison to the rest. I mean, literally, when I said to Archie, that looks like a lion, and then we just saw a whole herd running together, and I was like, it's probably an antelope. I'm like, no, those are lions. Look how they're running. That's a massive pride of lions. I got very, very excited. Hey, beautiful female. Lauren would like to know how many unknown prides do I think exist in the Mara. Well, in the triangle, very few. I don't think this is an unknown pride. I think this is the Ngarara pride. And some individuals are more relaxed than others. So I don't think this is an unknown pride. I think there's a lot of confusion that happens with prides, especially with how these lions move so far out of their normal territories that because of where they're found, people assume they're a different pride to what the one they are. So I think there's more confusion than unknown prides and prides being misidentified. Now, you also find that this pride will probably be quite relaxed at night. With lions, they are generally very relaxed at night. Same as leopards, far more relaxed at night, especially if they're unhabituated. But still, you need to go carefully if you want to get good views of unrelaxed prides. I'm quite lucky. I've worked in quite a few areas where we've had to start from scratch, where the lions and the leopards used to run from the cars. And in not too long a time, we've habituated them to be first-class game viewing creatures, and it's always a wonderful challenge. Well, I enjoy it, habituating unrelaxed cats. You do need to have a very serious set of patience pants for that, though. As I said, I don't want to stay here too long. I want to give the rest of the pride a chance to come back and finish off the zebra, although I think because of the proximity to some roads, they might be a bit skittish still for the rest of the day. See, she's still checking around, and it's vehicles that seem to disturb her, and vehicles that are far away on the main road, which runs up along the edge of the escarpment there. But again, an area that is not utilized too often, and possibly that's why, well, apart from the fact that it is just magnificent, and you start getting acacia trees and these astounding vistas with the Olololo escarpment behind. It is definitely my favorite area, the sort of far western corner of the Mara Triangle. Okay, let's go see what else James can find on foot.
Well, we're still looking for Hosanna. We've now got him crossing over an area where we walked earlier this morning, so he's around here. We might be very lucky. We need to check on top of the termite mounds, get a good view on top of them before we get too close so that he doesn't off the other edge. If it was Tingana, he'd just disappear. We'd have very little chance of catching him with the camera. He hasn't gone up here, I don't think. There was a brief glimpse of him by one of the game drives earlier this morning, and they left him because they wanted to see the wild dogs. Just what a feeling about that termite mound over there. And all you'd see from here is his little spotted ears peeping up. But I don't see him there. Maybe he's just going to check the road. There's another mound there. Now, I think it's probably a bit much to expect that we'll see a leopard as well. But we might be lucky. Kirsten says she thinks we will. Well, that's very kind. Very kind. Very unusual, actually. We've got tracks there. Yes, Janine, this is definitely one of my best bushwalks, if not... I'm trying to think if I've had a better one. I think this is my best bushwalk. Wild dogs on foot, lions on foot, possibility of leopard. The only other one that comes close was when we had the wild dogs here. He's right on this path here. Yeah, it was when the wild dogs came walking past us. When we were sitting on the road, that was almost 3 years ago now. We were sat on the road, and the dogs came within a few meters of us. Well, if the leopard didn't know we were coming, it does now, because Herbert just managed to trip over he tripped over a log about this big. He's come along here. But he's not over here. Lisa, I wish it was that simple. You know what, about a year ago I would have said yes, just calling him probably would get him to approach us. Can we check a termite mound over there? No. No mischievous spotty eyes. Oh, some brown-headed parrots going flying by with their metallic nails on a blackboard squeak. There they go. Let's go back to Jamie now with Wafflies. Wafflies is at the den. I don't know if Wafflies' cubs are there.
Thank goodness. Thank goodness we made it back in time for at least a potentially brief glimpse of Waffles' two little bundles of joy. There we go. Oh, you sleepy this morning? It looks like it. I think while we were busy scratching around, sliding in the mud, they were probably out and about running around. And now it's almost bedtime again, but it's okay. That's okay. I can see both bottoms there. Oh. Everyone's got their mountains to climb, even tiny baby hyena cubs, and even if that mountain is just Mom's belly. It's a tricky thing to do, a tricky balancing act as well. Standing on Mom. Oh, Mom, pay attention to the little one, or it's going to make you, whether you want to or not. Good. I'm relieved. I'm very, very relieved that we did at least get to see a brief glimpse of them. Considering We raced out at 5 this morning, which isn't that early. It's just about an hour and a half before the start of the sunrise safari, specifically to come and enjoy this. I'm glad they're still awake. Using Mum's ear and neck. They are going to absolutely love chewing on her collar. Oh, the wind is howling. Obviously, I'm sure you can see that. Or just see an ear. There's the tatty-eared one at the back. Come, you two. You need to come out so that we can work out whether you're boys or girls. Oh, sweet! Lauren, you say that you love how gentle they can be. They can be very, very gentle. My favorite thing to watch in terms of the example of their gentle behavior is young males. When they come and they play with the cubs and they let the cubs climb all over them and maul them and bite them. And I mean, those little cub teeth are sharp. They might not be well developed enough yet to crush bone, but they're still very sharp, and those bites must hurt. But the males let the cubs get away with absolutely anything that they want to. So, of course, do their mothers largely. Are we sweet? Yes, we are. Unfortunately, the wind this morning might make them less brave than they were yesterday. But again, I could stand corrected on that. They are gorgeous. They are absolutely digging their teeth into Mum, and she hasn't even moved her ear. She's just letting them get away with whatever they want to. And with faces like that, wouldn't you? Oh, Wobbles. Mom's monstrous buffalo belly. Must be like jumping on a trampoline or a bouncy castle. You two little horrors? That's such a lovely ear notch that one at the back has got. Not that I wish any pain on them, obviously. But it's going to be the perfect identifying feature because it's big enough that it's not going to heal over. It'll be with that cub for the rest of its life, which will make it really, really easy to spot. Right at the top as well. Actually quite reminiscent of Paisley's ear notches. Blake, male hyenas play quite an important role apart from the creation of these cute little fluff balls, which is quite enough for me. They are responsible for about 80% of the territorial whoops. That ooh sound, I'm not going to make it too loudly because the little one over here will get it right. But that whooping sound is territorial, and the males produce most of those calls. They also do a large percentage of the territorial patrols, uniting with the rest of the clan very enthusiastically. Oh, 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 oh. When it comes to defending the territory. Oh, hope you're getting all the screenshots, because that is just adorable. Kisses for Mum. Largely because she just moved so they can't chew her collar anymore. Oh, Mom's about to get up, you two. You are going to go flying if she does. They're getting to the age now where Waffles is not going to spend as much time with them as she used to, purely because they're little terrors. And there's 2 of them. And they're not going to let her get a moment's rest if she doesn't move away from them. Little paws waving in the air. Starlight, no, those collars are constructed in a way that is pretty much resistant to adult hyena teeth, let alone 2 tiny little tots. So for those of you that don't know, just to clarify, because a collar is always a potentially touchy subject, Waffles wears a radio collar because she is part of a clan of hyenas, the North Clan, which are researched by the Michigan State University Mara Hyena Project. So it's not a collar because she's a pet hyena, it's a collar because she's part of a research group, essentially. And it allows them to track her via telemetry. So no, that collar is almost impossible to remove. Occasionally collars do come off, but usually the only time that they are removed is if they're actively removed by people, which they would be, if there's a reason to remove it, or secondly if the hyena has died and something's eaten the body and moved off with the collar. Mom's belly is just the best place to play this morning. Ah! They are really properly rough and tumbling now. Gorgeous. Our James is truly on absolute fire this morning. Let's go and see if he's found you something else to see on foot.
We've got Hosanna here. We arrived at Treehouse Dams the same time as the game drive. We tracked him down here. We're just going to go around this game drive vehicle. They're very kindly giving us an opportunity to have a look at him before they move in. Come with me. So we tracked him all the way down here. How close is he, Herb? How close? We're not going to do an unscheduled broadcast here. We can just see his fur. You go stay there. You can come here. You're just going to see at the base of this tree close by here. You're just going to see his flat fur there. We've just tracked him down here and arrived at the same time as the game drive. There we go, everybody. Leopard, wild dog, and lion. Now, we're not going to stay here for long. He's obviously gone to ground because he's seen us coming. And we don't want to give him any kind of fearfulness. Alrighty, we're going to leave him be now. Let's go back to the Masai Mara with Jamie and her hyena cubs. What a morning this has been.
Well done, James. What an extraordinary bushwalk this has been. Look here, look here. There's another hyena coming in. We haven't seen much interaction between the cubs and other hyenas. I think the cub's probably going to run into the hole. Yep, there it goes. Just hold on a sec there, Kirst. Oh! There was absolutely no thought there from Waffles. She just responded to a threat. She didn't know what it was. She didn't know if it was another hyena. She saw movement and she charged. It could have been anything. It could have been a lion. It could have been a leopard. She just went immediately to chase that interloper off. Now, I don't know which hyena it is. It doesn't look like one of the mothers of the clan. It looks like it might potentially be a male who's been curious now, wants to approach Waffles and say hello to her cubs. Oh no, isn't that Deja? I think I see the lump on the jaw. No. Wisteria, you say good for you, Waffles. I know, yes, absolutely. There's no question in her mind that she wasn't going to launch forward and attack. It didn't matter what it was. It could have been absolutely anything, but her cubs were out and vulnerable, and she was nervous, and she reacted with pure motherly instinct there. Okay, there we go. There's a cub, I think. Responding to Mom's body language. What's this hyena going to do? I'm just slightly concerned these cubs are now going to take this opportunity to vanish completely. And I think we're alright now that Mom's responded. Oh, no, you see. What's going on, Mom? Can I be part of it? Angel, no. A male wouldn't kill the babies. A female might be more of a risk, but it is unlikely because Waffles is so high-ranked. So no, a male wouldn't kill the babies. A male would be far too terrified of the female's reaction. They also have no reason to. There's no instinctive reason for them to do that. The only way that they ever get to mate anyway is by making friends with the females. So killing cubs would not be the best way to go about this. Who's that, guys? Who's that? Don't worry. Your mom will not let anything near you. She's watching intently, trying not to be distracted by her cub who just wants to bite her lip, or her eye, or her nose, or her ear, or whatever it can get its teeth on. Snuffle, 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 snuffle. Yeah. Not worth the risk of an angry matriarch, no matter who that individual is. Oh, maybe. Coming back again. The cubs have got to get to know the rest of the clan at some point. You can see how nervous this individual is. Looks like it's got a fresh wound on the top of its head as well. Possibly acquired in the buffalo hunt. Who's that, guys? Okay, Cursed, I think these cubs seem relatively relaxed. Yeah, I think... Oh! Welcome live to the Masai Mara in Kenya, where we have an interesting scene playing out with our favorite hyena clan, the North Clan, who have made the marshes near the Mara River their home. Now, to explain exactly what's going on, that female over there, she is the matriarch of the clan, and hidden deep beneath the surface of the ground are two tiny little cubs. They're 5 weeks old today, actually, and she's been protecting them from another hyena who looks like it's a member of her clan, and I think it's a male, and he's been so curious in coming to investigate this. Now, the fact that we get to watch this all play out live is absolutely astounding. I think he's decided to wander off. And what that means is that there's a good chance that the little Waffles cubs are going to come out to greet you. So while we wait for that to happen, remember that because this is live, you can actually ask us questions, and you can do that in the comments section below. There's Waffles over there. You'll see that she is wearing a collar. That is because she's part of a massive decade-long research study into the way in which these apex predators function in this ecosystem and the role that they play. Carol, she is actually the only collared hyena in North Clan. The neighboring clan, Happy Zebra, has... Look! Hello. Oh, just day by day, these cubs are growing in confidence. Look, out we go. Wobbly legs. This little one is just 5 weeks old and utterly adorable. Okay, Waffles, where's number 2? Fetch number 2 for us, please. We need both of them. Oh, someone's taking the opportunity to go exploring while Mom's away. Kim? At around about 6 or so months old, the cubs will start showing interest in kills. At around about 8 months old, their mothers will either start bringing kills back to the den for them, or taking the cubs to the kills themselves. But spotted hyenas, bye-bye, have a very extended lactation period. So around about 1.5 years, they will suckle their cubs, sometimes longer for the cubs of high-ranking females, because those females actually have the best access to resources. Oh, okay. Bye then. No, we're back. We're back. It's quite a lonely, scary place, that tunnel. Back to Mum. Bala, This is actually a different den site to where we were, where the elephants were roaming really, really close to Waffles and her 2 cubs. It's a different den site, but it's not far away from where we were with those elephants. Oh, bouncing on Mom once again. There's number 2. You can just see its head. How fantastic that we get to share this live. How utterly, utterly adorable are these creatures. So Waffles has chosen to move her cubs, I suspect because of a combination of the wet weather and the elephants. Katie says that she thinks that one of the cubs is a boy. It will of course be difficult for us to know exactly for quite a while yet. It's very tricky to determine the sex of a young hyena. You know what, Katie, I actually agree with you, but we could both be wrong. I also get that feeling that one's a boy. I actually think they're both boys, but ideally what we want is for at least one of these cubs to be a female. Waffles has no surviving daughters, and all of her sons will eventually disperse off to different clans, meaning that once Waffles dies, and she is an old hyena, this litter of cubs will probably be her last hope for a surviving female line. Yes, we're talking about you. Mom's blocked up the entrance to the den almost completely. Doesn't matter though, the cubs are climbing all over her. They're staying tucked away and sheltered today because it's very windy. So Waffles doesn't really feel like exposing herself to the wind. Plus, she's just eaten a large amount of buffalo last night, so she's probably feeling quite warm. Laurie, you say that this is so beautiful. It is beautiful. I'm completely besotted with these cubs, which is very dangerous where wild animals are concerned, especially hyena cubs, which have about a 50% survival rate. But because we've watched them since they were a week old, we can't help but be enchanted and somewhat enamored with their antics. Manu's doing an extraordinary job. Manu is the gentleman behind the camera at managing to balance the light. This den is a tricky one because in the mornings the sun is very, very bright, but doing an awesome job of showing you what's happening. Amanda, that's really lovely to hear. Amanda tells us that it is almost bedtime there in Canada, but that her kids just absolutely love seeing these baby hyenas. Never fret, because it's almost bedtime for these cubs as well, so I promise we won't keep you up for too much longer. It is getting to around about 9 o'clock in the morning here in the Masai Mara, and typically it would be exactly that. It would be bedtime, at least for Waffles, although her cubs, like toddlers everywhere, show absolutely no sign of wanting to go to sleep. They just want to chew everything. Are you standing on Mum there? Now this has been an extraordinary little intimate glance into what is happening with the hyenas of North Clan, and of course our favourite hyena of North Clan, the Queen Waffles. However, it's time for us to say goodbye to our larger audience. If you'd like to continue your safari, you can search for SafariLive and you will see it continues for at least another half an hour, but it is on every day, twice a day. So from the Queen of North Clan and her troublesome duo offspring, it's been a pleasure sharing this with you, and we hope to see you on safari soon. The rest of you don't have to go anywhere, and we're going to sit for as long as these cubs are awake. Let's go across to James, who at this point, the only way he could make this walk any better were to be if he were to find a pangolin.
Yes, finding a pangolin on foot, that would be certainly something. I don't think it's going to happen. Perhaps some elephants. There were some elephants shouting around here earlier today. We're just heading back up towards quarantine clearings, and we'll just go down through here and see if we can't spot something towards the little riverbed. Just wanted to quickly address a concern raised by a viewer or two that we were perhaps chasing those lions off a kill, and that most certainly is not what happened. The lions were at the water having a drink post-kill, and then they moved off from there. If you do come across lions on a kill, the chances are, yes, that they would move off it, but then they would come back as soon as you retreated. So if we did see lions on a kill, what we would most certainly do is move away from those lions so that they could come back to the kill. We wouldn't have sat there and kept them away from the kill. So please fear not. There is no need to try and protect the animals out here from us. We are doing our very best to be as sensitive as possible. And I think that while we do make mistakes from time to time, we do a generally decent job of attempting to be sensitive. There's always room for improvement, and so shall we try every day to improve. Now, it's become quite windy, and there's a front moving in strangely from the north, which probably means that it's coming in off the Mozambican Channel as opposed to from the Cape. And so maybe it won't be quite as hot as it was going to be now. Okay, well, while we look for these elephants, let's go back to Jamie, because of course the cubs are playing, and so it's very nice to have them playing, so let's go back to them.
I've had an idea about how we can ensure that these cubs have a babysitter every day. Manu, you want to hear my plan? Yeah. So I'm going to tell Brent today that I have got the best picture possible, the best photograph of hyena cubs that has ever existed. And after that, he'll be here every single morning. Does it sound like a plan? I think it's the perfect plan. That way, I ensure that A, Brent takes lots of photographs of cute cubs for me, and B, you get to see them every day. I think that is exactly how we're going to play this. Not that he will need encouragement to come here. He just hasn't been because, this has been my baby, so to speak. But still, I feel as though if I challenge him to a photography competition, which he will naturally win, that might be the best way of ensuring a constant babysitter for at least 12 days after my departure. What do you think of that, Waffles? Waffles just wants to go to sleep. Her belly is so full. Yeah. What you got in your mouth, little one? April, I'm glad you agree with my plan. I think it's a fantastic plan. You can't give it away, though. You can't tell Brent that that's the idea. He has to think of it all by himself. Whee! Oh, we're running. We're running everywhere. Oh, poor Waffles. You can see how heavy her eyelids are. She really, really just wants to be asleep. I think this is something that all mothers can identify with at bedtime. All of a sudden there's energy galore. And the babies just want to play. Oh. Shame. It's a pity that the wind is keeping them so tucked away, but at least we've got some view of them. They're playing right now. They're not fighting. It'd be nice to see which one. See, the little tatty-eared one is bolder. Definitely, for certain. Yes, I'm talking about you, you adorable creature. The smooth-eared cub is not as bold, but at the same time seems to be dominant. Female? Dare I hope? Dare I hope that that's a little girl? Mommy's girl, perhaps? She definitely seems, or I shouldn't say she, it definitely took the prime dominant suckling position earlier. Waffles, where'd your baby go? Is he keeping your hands full? Droopy eyelids. Look at her wrinkly face. She's almost as wrinkly as her cubs are. The expression of a concerned mother right there. Sort of concerned. I imagine what she's... Oh, there we go. Incoming! Please, just let me sleep. Just let me have 5 minutes, please. Maybe if I keep my head.
Cut to us. Thank you very much. I'm sorry that that happened so very suddenly indeed. Anyway, that's how it happens, you know. Trouble, of course, we have in the Masai Mara. Normally we have slightly more warning than we had there. Anyway, so it goes. We're still on the search for our elephants. Let's keep going along here. Ooh. There's a very special... No, it's not a very special bird. Well, it is a special bird, but it isn't a very extra special bird. I thought it was a Morocco sunbird, but it wasn't. It was a southern black tit. And all around I can hear the calls of the white-bellied sunbird, which is very special, of course, because, well, they're looking for flowers. And they're looking for flowers because they're soon going to be nesting. Such an exciting time of year. We haven't found any sign of our elephants. And I think perhaps because the wind's blowing a little bit, they may have gone into the thicker bush. Right, apparently we are now going to have question of the day. Go for it, Kirsten. Sorry, I have to take this one on the floor. Snazzy, you say... If I could make a chocolate animal, which animal would it be? I think I would make a troop of chocolate dwarf mongoose, because they're the right colour. Delicious. I can imagine 70% cocoa, chocolate mongoose. We've got the elephants, let's go. With little chocolate droppings, yes, Kirsten. Herbert is now fist pumping because he spotted the elephants. Can you believe it? What a day. What a day it is. Come on, Senzo. Soon your labours shall be over and you can rest in great and enormous satisfaction. Ah, long distance view of elephant. There they are. Standing in a very defensive sort of posture, with an ancient elephant cow at their head. I say ancient because her head is very, very concave. She's got much bone around it. Just 3 or 4 of them. Very nice, hey? What a bushwalk we've had. Yes, well, that's why I didn't suggest them, Blue 24. You said chocolate elephant bars would be big. Yes, I certainly wouldn't be able to eat them. Maybe over an extended period. I have 2 nephews who would certainly eat them in about 3.5 seconds. I've just had a message from Byron Sorrell, who is guiding out of Sylvan, which is one of the lodges quite close to us. He had the wild dogs on Cheetah Cutline, which is our eastern boundary. He can't come onto Djuma at the moment. They don't have traversing here. And he accused me of what we call big fiving. When I told him what we'd seen on foot, he was, of course, joking, because to have seen what we have seen on foot, he's just very jealous indeed. Oh, and we've even got a wildebeest shouting at us now. There it is. Julie, that could be interpreted in 2 ways. You say bushwalkers been smoking it up on today. Yes, well, I'd like to think we were on fire. I would like to think that not everybody thinks we're smoking something that we shouldn't be, but I think I get your meaning. Senzo's nodding in agreement. The wildebeest alerted us to his presence by going which is his alarm call. Apparently all of you now writing Byron's name with an exclamation mark, very happy to have heard that Byron is close by, even though he has failed to come into our ambit. We will try and find him on drive for you. It will be quite a sighting. Just in case you're wondering, of course, Byron doesn't work for us permanently because Byron chooses not to. That's because Byron likes guiding people. He very much enjoys that. So it's not that we haven't asked him repeatedly to come and join us. Unfortunately, he enjoys being around people too much. And so that's why he still guides on his own. Yes, and so Kirsten says, it's not us, it's him. I don't think that's true, actually. I'll just have one last look at them there. It's actually a slightly bigger herd than I thought. Probably about 5 or 6 animals spread through the woodlands. They are looking very defensive, and I just wonder... This is a very big call, but... No, they're feeding. They will become extremely defensive if one of them is about to give birth. Now, I know that there are no predators around there, mainly because we found all the predators today. I'm just looking there. There's certainly no evidence from this distance that anyone's giving birth. Good. Let us move along. Yeah, in fact, there are about 10 animals wandering along there. Apparently, the Mara has disappeared, so we don't have them. And that's why you're still stuck with me. Never mind. With a bushwalk on the amount of fire that it's on at the moment, we'll probably come across, well, a herd of, I don't know, hippopotamus around the next corner. Possibly Shidulu and Hukumuri. Let's have another look at these ellies. Hey, magic Friday afternoon. Beats what I used to do. Now apparently you can go to the dam cam and see a human-animal interaction at the moment. Conrad, who's fixing the dam cam, is being eyed by some hyenas. What you're looking at there is a little greeting ceremony, and you don't often see it. It's the elephants putting their trunks in each other's mouths. I'm glad human beings don't do that. I'm glad I don't have to put my nose in someone else's mouth in order for them to greet me. I think that would be foul. But with the elephants, it isn't, apparently. That is the right and polite way to do things. Imagine going to a cocktail party in all your finery and having to both receive other people's noses and place your own in their mouths to say hello. This is a ridiculous picture in my mind. I'm sure you get the idea. Chris, you say I need my own show on Animal Planet. Chris, I think that National Geographic, our major broadcaster, would be very deeply distressed to hear you say that. But thank you. One last view of them before we move on. Things have quietened down now, and I can just hear a barbet going boop, boop, boop. Another little sign of spring. Herbert is now making his way home. Let's have a look at Herbie quickly. You can see there that he's done an exceptional job and now feels that he's due a little bit of rest. Let's see if he manages to notice or feels our eyes boring into him. He's done a superb job, as always, today. Come on then, let's carry on. Herbert, you're on television. You can't hear me. Wind is blowing too strongly. Apparently the Mara is almost back, everybody. We will attempt to find something else of biological worth shortly. What is this? This is quite interesting, actually. It's a plant. I mean, that's not what makes it interesting. There are plants all over the place. But what's interesting is what kind of plant it is. Would anyone like to hazard a guess? I know that I'm not anything like the quizmaster that Brent Leo Smith is, but you might like to have a guess at what this tree is. It's quite a common tree, but it doesn't normally look this dainty. In fact, it normally looks positively vicious. That's really cool. Anyone like to hazard a guess? It doesn't have thorns, it's got spikes. The difference, of course, being that the spikes or the sharp ends are modified branches that will eventually blunten. What was that, Kirsten? I missed that. Kirsten, have it. My earpiece is broken. Once more. A spiky twig tree. No, Kirsten, that's a terrible, terrible guess. There's one leaf on it, for those of you who might be able to identify it. Lauren, yes, you are correct. It is a brown tree. I was thinking something slightly more specific than a brown tree, Lauren. Satamal says an oak tree. No, there are no oak trees out here, and if you ever find an oak tree with thorns, stay away from it, because it's obviously vicious and not to be encountered. Snazzy, you say it's something. Well, that's slightly wider still than Lauren's assertion that it is a brown tree. Yes, it is certainly something. Judy, you say a pot plant. No, it's not in a pot. It's in the ground. I must confess, I don't think any of you are doing very well. Chris, you say an acacia. No, it's not an acacia. Acacia would have thorns, not spikes. It's definitely not an acacia. Erwick, you say a lilac bush. No, not a lilac bush. No. Ginger, a knobthorn. No, no. Oh dear. Oh no. Hannah, no, it's not a leadwood. Kathy, a weed. No, it's not a weed. Wisteria, not a locust tree. No, nor is it a wisteria. Anyone else? Oh, willow, a buffalo thorn. No, the buffalo thorn's got thorns on it, not spikes. Umkar, a dry tree. Come on, people. You know. Indigo, false acacia. No, no. All right, I'll give you a clue. Shall I give you a clue? I just don't know how to give you a clue without making it completely obvious. This tree has an animal name that is... No, Colbert, black monkey orange. No, no, it's not a black monkey orange. The spikes are the things you need to watch out for here. An animal name, the animal is four-footed, after which this tree is a platypus tree. No, Kirsten, not a platypus tree. All right, I give up. It's a zebrawood. It's a Dalbergia melanoxylon. Sensel's going, Malum, meaning basically I had absolutely no idea what you were talking about. Now, the reason we know it's a zebrawood, and the reason I think this is interesting, is that they are normally very thick, very scraggly, and they have got vicious, vicious spines. When these things get mature, they'll go straight through the wall of one of those thick tires that we have. Righty. The Mara is back up after that taxing quiz. Let's go back across to Brent Leo Smith, quizmaster himself, and ask him who his hyenas are.
Well, look at that. You would have been you might have been confused thinking it was Jamie, but no, it is Brent with hyenas, and we're at a different den. This is a den I found about 10 days ago, maybe even a bit longer ago, quite close to the Salt Lake near the Tanzanian border. And we heard one of the females calling down into the hole, and obviously that's exactly what she was calling down to, a little bundle of trouble. Isn't it cute? It's so cute, it's so curious. Now, there are a lot of hyenas here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. And there's 2 more behind us. 15 or 16 hyenas around. Here's a little trouble. Proper teenage trouble, that one. Now, unfortunately, every now and then we find something out here that's not so nice. And there is that. I've called the Mara Triangle guys. They're on their way, and unfortunately this hyena has picked up a snare, this one here. So I know the guys are on their way to come sort this out right now. And luckily, because hyenas can be very difficult to find, it's fortunate that they are all at the den this morning, because it'll make finding this hyena who's got the snare a little bit easier. It looks like a female. I haven't been able to see too well. I don't want to go too close. I don't want to disturb them before the vets and the Mara Conservancy guys get here. So you can see it's still there. It almost looks like the skin might be growing over it, which does happen in certain cases. But judging from the behavior of the other hyenas around this hyena, it could be quite high ranking. So a snare or an injury to kill a high-ranking hyena can cause quite a lot of trouble in a clan. But it has been an incredible morning. Lots of things. I mean, we have seen 29 lions today. Now, it's very sad to see, but just look at that belly. That doesn't look like that hyena's been affected too much by it yet. But we're going to sit here for a little bit and wait for the guys from the Mara Conservancy to come and assess the situation. But from one little hyena to a few more with Jamie.
Shame, that poor hyena. This is why it is so important that hyenas' reputation is changed in some way. They are one of the animals that are the most at risk of falling victims to snares, just due to their curiosity, their tendency to walk into areas outside of protected reserves as one of their sort of ways of searching for food, interacting. They're curious, essentially, and it puts them at most at risk of a human-wildlife conflict. So while those snares are put out for bushmeat, they catch all sorts of unintended victims, especially hyenas. But it's very, very difficult for hyena conservation to actually receive funding, because people think of them as, well, just pests that are everywhere. And yes, they're certainly better off than other species, but that doesn't mean that they don't face the same threats that the big predators do. And understanding them is the first step in helping to protect them. Naturally, our little hyena cubs have now vanished. Imagine if it was one of them. Terrifying, terrifying thought. And the Conservancy is so cautious when it comes to checking for snares, but it could easily have picked a snare up elsewhere outside of the Mara Triangle. You won't believe this. These cubs have been going absolutely mental. Sarah, a snare is basically a piece of wire that's looped into it, usually a head, but sometimes a foot or the middle of the body. As it pulls, the snare catches and pulls tighter. So it's just literally an anchored piece of wire that is designed in the way that it's knotted to pull tighter as the animals try to pull away from it. So whether it's an antelope, which is what they're usually intended for, or if it ends up being a hyena or a lion, as the animal gets more frantic, the snare pulls and pulls and pulls until eventually it starts cutting into their skin. Sometimes, if the animal's lucky, it can actually pull the snare out of the ground and move away, and at least then it has a chance of survival. But if that snare stays anchored, then there's a very good chance that that animal is going to die, because the people who come to check those snares either are looking for bushmeat, and if they find something like a trapped hyena, they're just going to leave it. They'll walk away and leave it alone, which is a really terribly tragic thought. Or you get a situation like what happened with Brent and his hyena, where the hyena managed to pull free. And, I spent once a long period of time desperately searching for a snared hyena we'd caught on a camera trap. We'd seen on a camera trap with a really nasty snare around its neck. Deep, deep, deep cut wounds. We were convinced that hyena was going to die if we didn't find it, but we couldn't find it. Eventually, strangely enough, his name was Doyle. About a year later, we were convinced we'd failed and that the hyena had died. We found Doyle, alive and well. The snare had broken and snapped apart, and his injuries had healed completely, and Doyle was absolutely fine. But that was a happy ending to the story. I don't believe this. These cubs have been climbing all over Waffles, playing all over the place, fighting with each other. Now, there's only one brief view of one at the back, moving the grass around. We can't even see them anymore. We were so hoping that we could finish off this safari with some of them playing, or with the two of them playing out in the open. Come on, you two. We need a happy ending after those tragic stories. Oh, Waffles is going to lie on them and make it even more impossible for us to see them. Hopefully they start getting warm and a bit claustrophobic and they climb out over her back. I don't think they're going to, though. Those pesky gremlins kept you away from us. And now that the pesky gremlins have been defeated, the cubs have gone to bed. There was a certain inevitability to that. It was still an absolutely magical morning. There was just so much going on. Between Brent and his lions and James and his absolutely golden bushwalk this morning, he really did himself truly proud. I'm very, very impressed. And then brief views of the little wafflets, even if the little wafflets don't have a sense of our timing and have decided to go to sleep regardless. All right, little wafflets, don't you fret. I'll be back here tomorrow to enjoy my last 2 mornings with the little waffles. Hey, look at you! Are you out? I see a face. I see a little face just peeking out. And you know what that hyena cub is saying? It's saying bye everyone, because it's the end of the sunrise safari, and that if you join us again a little bit later on, you can join us for the sunset safari, which hopefully will hold even more wonderful things. Thank you, everybody. You are the reason that we do this, and we love to hear from you, and we love to share this with you. We'll see you then.